Welcome to the third Saturday in October, your SEC Tailgate podcast for the rest of us. And let the Florida hate begin. I'm Tennessee Bradley, here to talk about the SEC East at SEC Media Days. And we're starting off with Florida. We're going to start off with Dan Mullen, head coach of the University of Florida. Let me say, I don't think there's anything I like about the University of Florida. Maybe it's just being a Tennessee fan. Steve Spurrier was a coach that I love to hate because he had nice little quips like you can't spell citrus without UT. He's just good at digging at Tennessee. The coaches since then, Muschamp didn't seem like he really understood what was going on. McElwain just felt like he ran a sloppy program. We're now with Dan Mullen. Ron Zook was in there. I don't know what he was thinking. Urban Meyer, he was a good coach. Really did some great things at Florida. But as a Tennessee fan, you don't like seeing Florida succeed. So in comes Dan Mullen. Like Muschamp for me, just he looks like he doesn't know what's going on. He always has this look on his face of what just happened. So Florida lost a lot of talent last year, but Mullen kind of said, "Look, we did the same thing the year before. Does he have a quarterback?" I don't know who their starting quarterback is, but does he have a quarterback who can perform like Kyle Trask did last year? Kyle Trask was pretty awesome last year. They just had a couple mishaps that kind of derailed a really special season. Last year, I think it was around Halloween, Dan Mullen comes out dressed as Darth Vader. I don't know what that was about. He's just a weird guy. Somebody asked, "What's your favorite Star Wars movie?" This is a great question for SEC Media Days. There's going to be a lot of just your standard media asking football questions, coaches giving football answers. Dan Mullen gave a football answer to a non-football question. Said, I don't know that I can really just pick one. Come on, coach. He probably likes episode 3. The one that came out, when was that? The late 90s, early 2000s or something. Those the prequels that nobody likes. That's probably why I didn't answer it. He says he wants to be a defense that rotates a lot of players, keeps them fresh. I mean, who doesn't want that? He does believe the playoffs will expand. He said the introduction of the playoffs was the beginning of the bowl system changing. Probably right. I think there's a lot more that's about to change as well. He liked to tout his QB development with Dak Prescott and Kyle Trask specifically. What happened to the QB development with Felipe Franks? Not every quarterback that Dan Mullen has had has thrived. So is that QB development, or is that just he's able to recruit good quarterbacks every now and then? We'll find out this year. We'll see what his new quarterback's like. I mentioned this in the podcast the other day. Somebody asked him, what was it about your defense that seemed like they never figured it out? And he said, we didn't never figure it out. It was just erratic. Come on, coach. Just more coach speak. He would like to do away with permanent cross-divisional rivalries as a Tennessee fan, who's used to losing to Alabama recently, maybe don't hate that. As a Tennessee fan who values the third Saturday in October, I'd hate to see that go away. I know it makes it harder to play all the other teams, but let's talk about the expansion of the SEC. If Texas and Oklahoma join, they're talking about moving to pods. One of the most popular ones, and granted, this is not set in stone by any means. Who knows if the SEC is even thinking about this? It would be Tennessee, I believe Vanderbilt, Auburn, and Alabama. What I like about this is it keeps the rivalry between Tennessee and Alabama. It renews the rivalry between Tennessee and Auburn, which kind of disappeared when we went to the new East and West divisions. But then we don't necessarily play Georgia every year, which is a fun rivalry. We don't necessarily play Florida every year, which, ever since Steve Spurrier got back as a coach at Florida, that's been a rivalry. Kentucky, not necessarily every year. So it'd be interesting. But Dan Mullen may get his way when Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC. He also proposed a nine game SEC schedule, where there'd be 4 home, 4 away, 1 neutral site game. He's used to a neutral site game in Jacksonville. I guess Nashville could host a neutral site game, maybe Birmingham. You got to go over to Charlotte. Maybe Atlanta holds one. Do you go to New Orleans? Do you go to Dallas? I'm trying to think of cities in the SEC footprint. Little Rock. I just don't know that there are enough places that you can have a neutral site game. Where would you go in Mississippi? Would be cool to see the Egg Bowl on a neutral site, but we'll see. And then somebody asked, how do you battle Alabama in recruiting when Alabama recruits Florida players so well? And Dan Mullen says, I rate players a little differently. Well, Coach, I hate to break it to you, but the way you evaluate players, they can't beat Alabama. Not yet, at least. So maybe you should rethink that just a little bit. Let's get into the players. Florida brought 2 defensive players. Their defense, streaky at best last year. But I gotta say, I was not impressed by either one of these players, what they had to say. Florida, I think you've got to work a little bit on your media development for your players. Ventral Miller, linebacker for Florida. What were his best comments? Xavier Henderson is the best dancer on the team. Somebody asked who's the best dancer. He said Xavier Henderson. And then they brought up Coach Mullen's shoes that he wears each year to SEC Media Days. And he said, Coach has definitely got the best shoe game on the team. Outside of that, nothing really interesting to say. Not sure he really answered the questions very well. Not sure that they were great questions either. Then Zachary Carter, defensive lineman for Florida. This was interesting. Has the perception of Kentucky changed at Florida? Kentucky's been able to play Florida pretty well the last couple of years. I thought he had a decent answer. He said, no, it's the SEC. Teams come to play week in and week out. Very, very kind of coach speak, player speak for that. But it's true. The SEC, you never know when you're going to get an upset. You never know when a Kentucky is going to play a Florida really well. But thought that was a good answer. They also asked his opinion of the 12-game playoff. He said he'd prefer an 8-game playoff. Makes sense. Let's just expand it to 8 teams at first. See if that satisfies people. And then when asked if the defense feels like they have to play with a chip on their shoulder this year, he did say we want people to be surprised this year. Well, I hope I'm surprised, but I hope I'm surprised as a happy Tennessee fan. So that's kind of what I took away from the Florida SEC Media Days. Nothing special, just Florida being Florida. Coach Mullen almost feeling like he's never done this before, in a way. But I don't know. I there's just nothing I can find about Florida that I like. So with that being said, Tennessee Bradley here, signing off with a good old roll Vols.